In this video, we are going to go over the wonderful art of hand sanding. So we're going to need all 4 of your pieces that you have now cut and disc sanded. First, double check that it is actually your pieces, because you should have written your first and last name and period number on all 4 pieces on that lip there. So just making sure it is yours. You should have all of your corners numbered, and you should have a matching number with that so that we know they're all going to fit together. The purpose of hand sanding is to remove any imperfections from the surfaces and take away the machine marks of what we made from when we made it. So there are some grooves and ripples here from the planer you might be able to catch on camera. And on the side of the wood, there are some grooves here from the table saw blade that from when I cut it to the width. You also have to remove any errant pencil marks that are on the surface here, all that. So we're going to work on removing those from your wood. To do that, you're going to first watch the video all the way through, and then you're going to grab your safety glasses and come into the shop, just like this. Again, getting your glasses. If you do not wear glasses yourselves, you can get any of the glasses from the top 3 shelves. If you do wear glasses, from the bottom 2. And again, I'm wearing contacts today, so I'm going to grab these. Make sure to grab them by the bows, not the lenses. We don't want your grubby fingerprints on them. Take those, put them on, gently close the cabinet to keep them clean. Coming back to the shop. Again, double check you have permission to go into the shop first. If the class is already back there, come on in. And make sure we gently close the door. You're going to get hearing protection because you are absolutely going to be around other loud machinery. So we are going to grab a set of hearing protection, which it should be closed. We're going to close it to keep them clean. Put those on. You are going to come over and find your teacher. Your teacher is going to confirm you've watched the video, and they are going to then give you a piece of sandpaper. With that sandpaper, they will also hand you a marker, and you are going to, on the back side, you are going to write your first name, your last initial, and your period number. Nice and clear on that. This is your piece of sandpaper for the rest of the project, so you need to keep track of it. So again, what we're doing here is getting rid of the machine marks. It might be kind of hard to see. I'm going to show you a little trick here to see them. So if you work on any of the workbenches, this workbench or this workbench, we'll also have a couple pop-up tables you'll be sanding on. If you want an easier way to check your wood, come over by the window and you can get some of the reflection from the light, and you can see the shadows. There's little ripples that go across this way on both faces. There's saw tracks that come along here, which you might be able to see the shadows of from the table saw, this edge and this edge. So those are things you have to take care of on these. So I'm going to show you how to do that on one piece, and then I'll show you the final, what it looks like when working. So what the easy thing to do is have your sandpaper here. You're going to go the long way. So everything is sanded with the grain. Your grain runs the long way every time, okay? Everything is the long way on your picture frame pieces. So we're going to start with the face. You're going to slide it back and forth on here. You should be putting some decent pressure, and you're going to move pretty quick. Just watch your fingers to make sure you don't sand them. So you're going to go back and forth like this, making that mess. You're going to start having some dust forming. After you go for a few seconds, you can stop. Kind of wipe that off with your hands, and again, check it in the window right there. I still got a little bit here and a little bit up here. So I'm gonna do it again. Sanding, making sure I'm putting pressure. Be careful not to tear your paper too much there. Don't snag the tip in there. I'm gonna put my pressure back here. Making sure I'm going straight up and down. Again, check it. I still got a little bit. So once you got what you think is all good, you're going to take it to your teacher, and then they are actually going to check it, and they're going to use a pencil, and they're going to mark where you need to do it. So I still actually have, I can tell in the light, I have a little bit right here that I need to do. So I'm gonna color that right there. And I've got a little bit right down in here that I need to get rid of. So I still have some of those little grooves going across my wood. So I'm gonna focus on those. So I can actually then take my wood and I can take my sandpaper and just kind of hold it there. And I can work on that angle specifically so I'm not over sanding everything else. Now you see I got rid of the pencil marks, and when I check it, there's nothing else there. So I can do the same thing here. Keep going. I got a little bit of pencil left right there, so I'm gonna sand that again. Again, with the grain, going the long way. That is clean. So I would have when I get this whole piece done, have them check it. This is a good piece. Checking in the light. I don't have any other spots here. So that side is good. I'm gonna keep doing the rest. So when I do the edge, especially if you have a round over like this, you gotta be careful. You're gonna set it flat on the table on edge and just back and forth. And you gotta be careful. You're usually gonna have to go a little bit longer on the edges because those saw tracks, depending on the density of your wood, are pretty deep. Again, go a few passes. You can see, you might not be able to see, but I can see. I got rid of most of it. I do have this little chunk right here from the blade. I got a little tiny bit up here that I'm gonna have to get. I got a little bit here. So again, hit that part. And then for this part here, I'm gonna try to do my best to sand that, putting direct pressure on that spot. Helps to put a little more focused pressure. If you can't do that by hand, then just keep going on top of it so that part is gone. You do risk tearing up your paper a little bit doing it by hand like that. So again, I've got it clean. I've got that just about all gone. And I gotta get that bit in this spot right here again. That looks pretty good. So now I'll do those same processes on the rest of it, and we'll come back here in a second. Sometime sanding later. Okay, now that I have done my main sanding, all my edges are clear. You can kind of see in the light, we're gonna do a double check here in a second. My edges are good from the table saw marks. My faces are good. There's no planer marks and no free pencil lines. If you do the round over, you do have to do a little extra sanding. So we wanna make sure that this curve shape stays consistent over the edge. Now this one is actually looking pretty good. It flattens out a little bit right here. This one is pretty good, but it does flatten out right here on the end. I don't know if you can see that on camera, but it's got the nice width and then it kind of flattens out. So if you do round over, you're gonna have to do a little careful sanding. So for that, I take my paper. Now if you notice, my paper has all this dust on it. So in between pieces or in between sides, what you wanna do, tap it out a little bit and get a little bit of that extra dust out of there. It's a little bit cleaner. I'm gonna take my corner, just the corner of the sheet, very lightly with my thumb. I'm gonna put it right there on the edge. I'm gonna go back and forth. As I go back and forth, I'm gonna rock the wood underneath it to maintain that. So it's a good curve down here. I mostly need it down here. So I'm gonna focus down there, going back and forth with very light pressure. On this corner like this, you could really damage it if you push too hard. So I'm just barely laying down on there. And it's starting to get better already. Just got a little bit touch up right here. And that edge is nice and consistent and smooth. This one looks pretty good. I'm just gonna give it just a quick little pass. I think I flattened it one spot in the middle a little bit. So I'm just gonna give it a quick once over. And you feel those edges to see if you can feel any rough spots from the routing. Okay, so you're gonna do all 4 of your pieces like that. Get all your faces and your big edges first. Get them cleared up. And then you can do your round over. So again, to check it, you come over to the window area. You don't wanna be in direct sunlight, but you want to have enough light that you can get the direct sunlight's hard to see. Come over into the shadows a little bit. You can see some of the shadows if you still have any on there. And this is looking pretty good. So if you were to bring this to your teacher, they would check it, and what they will do once they have approved a piece that is sanded, they're gonna put a check mark right there on one of the ends of your piece. Now what you might need to do, if you have a rough spot in here, some of your routing didn't go well, after you've got all the other pieces done, you'll want to take just a little bit of this paper here, like an inch or two. You fold it over on itself a couple of times, and you crease that, you can tear it off. And you'll take this little piece of paper. All right, with this, what you're gonna do, on the center table, we have this basket of sanding blocks. So little blocks of wood, some of them actually say sanding block on it. What you can do with these is you wrap the sandpaper around the block, and then you take it to the groove. So if you have any rough spots on here, you put the sandpaper and you use the corner of the sanding block right in here, and just go over it a handful of times. You don't have to go crazy. Just keeping that flat in the corner. And you're gonna sand that to smooth down some of those high points. Just be careful, if you do sand off your name, you have to rewrite that on there so we know it's yours. So again, you're going to use your paper that you get from the teacher, name and period number, sand the faces. Again, here you can see it has all the marks on it still. Okay, this one still has the marks and some pencil lines. This one is cleaned up. There's no planer grooves. There's no saw tracks on the edges. So you're gonna do this to all 4 of your pieces. Check them often over in the light. So check for your marks. Shake out your sandpaper often. Dust them off often. When you think you're done, bring it to the teacher and they will check it. If it's good, they will approve it. If it has something that needs to be sanded, they will put the pencil marks on there on which you need to sand off. Okay, work carefully, pay attention. This is not just social hour. Pay attention to the direction you're going. Most people, this takes at least 2 days. You really don't want to spend any more than 3 on it. So focus on what you're doing. Make sure you're going with the grain when you're sanding. Always with the grain, the long way. And then have your teacher check it, okay? Good sanding is gonna make this thing the difference between a really, really nice looking frame and just some random sticks glued together. So, get your faces, get your edges free of those machine marks and pencil. Have them nice and smooth, have the teacher check them when you're done, and when you're approved, you'll be ready to move on to gluing. Double check your stuff, keep track of your sandpaper. This will go in your tub when you're done, okay? This will keep this in your tub. Make sure when we're done then, we've sanded everything, you're gonna clean up. So keep track of your pieces. There should be a dustpan under the table. The brush broke off, but you will sweep up your spot on the table. The workbench needs to be clean when we're done. All that extra dust can actually cause damage to other pieces. So have that cleaned up. When you're done, keep track of all your pieces. Be very careful and pay attention to your work. Once you've got that done, you're gonna take your pieces. You're gonna take your hearing protection back to the cabinet. Again, open the bottom corner, put it in, and close it to make sure they stay clean. Coming back into the room. With your wood, you should have all 4 pieces. Make sure, again, it's your wood. Come back in, close the door, and back to the safety glasses cabinet. Open, place your glasses where you got them on the shelf. Again, by the bows, please. We don't want no grubby fingerprints. Close gently. These will go live in your tub until the next video, which is gluing and nailing. Pay attention to your work. Ask questions if you're not sure, and always go with the grain. Have fun.